I was a senior in high school and Sue was a sophomore in Harrisburg, John Harris. And mutual friends, we knew a girl was mutual friends, and she introduced us. I had a red and white 57 Chevy. It was really sharp. He said, "Sure, I'll go out with you." And we just hooked up from then on. I mean, we just been together.
And we moved out here. I think the kids were probably about, Jerry was probably about 11. I'm not sure. I don't have Gary here to remember how old they were. And they weren't too happy to come out here because they were leaving all their friends, but we had a great life out here. We had, neighbors gave us 2 lambs that the mother died when they were born, and we bottle fed them. It's just a really nice place to be. We farm a lot and do our own canning and freezing, and we just like doing it. For Hershey, I pack candy. And if you ever watch that clip with I Love Lucy, it's exactly like that. Your first day in there, stuff's going everywhere, and it's really funny. It was a great job, a wonderful job. Well, I was diagnosed in '93. I was going to work and I fell and broke my knee, and that's what started everything, because they say it lays dormant in your body and something can trigger something. Well, I broke my knee, and from then I just had low-grade fevers, and for 6 months they couldn't diagnose what was wrong with me. I went every day to have blood work, and so then they finally figured it out that I had the AML leukemia. You don't even understand what you're going through. I mean, I didn't. When I was diagnosed, I can remember my whole family was around me and they're all bawling and crying, and I couldn't figure out, what the problem was, because you don't really know what's happening to you anyways when they diagnose you with something like that.
Oh, I was really down in the dumps because I thought, you don't have no clue what's going on. And, oh, she's going to die. That's the first thoughts.
When I was diagnosed, I sat up in bed and something pushed my head and pushed me back down. So the Lord was there with me. So from then on, I didn't even worry about it. And I've had this outlook the whole time. When I went to Pittsburgh, there was 5 of them from this area because they didn't have a place to go to nearby, so they sent you to another hospital. So there was 5 of us, and we all lived together in one of those Ronald McDonald houses. All I can remember is this big needle filled with this stuff going into my chest, and it's like, that's the only thing I ever remember of it. And that got me started on everything. And as for the chemo, it was basically just those 7 days of real hard chemo, I guess, and then it wiped out my immune system. And then I got back in remission, I think, and then I had to do it again, I think. I don't remember the regimen. I never was one that wanted to know what was going on because I don't understand it anyways. So, and then they gave me the transplant, and my sister was my donor. She's from Michigan, and she came in whenever she had to. And of course, the big one was my father, who had colon cancer. And because I was out in Pittsburgh, he didn't have anything done to it, because he wanted to come out every weekend to be with me, and that was the hardest. And he was 80-some, he had a good life, but he could have had a lot more years, but he sacrificed like a father would. And so that was hard. So the one lady took care of all of us. There was like 4 of us from the same area that we got to be really good friends with. And during the week, she took care of us, and then in the weekends, the other family members could come in, because someone had to work. I mean, you just can't stop your life because you got bills that are unbelievable, and it's just, you got to work.
People say about what it costs for health insurance. Wait, you see $1 million or $2 million just in hospital and drug bills. You can't imagine that type of a bill. Throughout your lifetime, there's always arrows being shot at you, and once in a while, one of them's going to stick. And going without health insurance.
She came back from that and did very well. She had resumed her life. She was very comfortable, and everything was going very well. And then she came in. It was 5 years, almost to the day, from her original diagnosis with a fluoride relapse with a high white count. And that's a terrible prognosis to have a relapse after induction chemotherapy and then after transplant. When we were then faced with the option of a second, we re-induced her, she achieved a remission, and then it was clear that she needed a second transplant. And the options in those, at that time in medicine, was non-ablative transplants were really not being done yet. So she was in very good health. It had been 5 years since she'd had her first transplant. Her first transplant was done with busulfan and cyclophosphamide, high-dose busulfan and cyclophosphamide, which was standard of care. So we looked at that and decided that there's no way she could tolerate a second transplant using the same drugs. That's been tried and is very toxic. So we used a different transplant regimen called Cy-TBI. So she actually got high-dose Cytoxan and total body irradiation. And that was the only time we've done that in this institution. Most patients who go through a transplant have a significant, even when they're well, like Susan, the whole process has a significant impact on the quality of their life. We are vastly affecting the quality of these folks' lives.
I think the worst part for me was leaving work. That was hard because I was so young. I mean, when I left, I thought I was young. And I really enjoyed working. But it gets to the point where my body was getting so much slower from everything it's going through that it was not fair to stay at work. I just walked out one day because you get tired of watching people do stuff for you. Good friends. Well, when you don't have an immune system, you have to watch what you do. That's why germs are so... I wasn't allowed to dig in the dirt. I wasn't allowed to be near children after my transplants. And dogs, cats. You're not supposed to be near anything. Just like have a sterilized life. I lost my hair about 5 times. And you get sick. Yeah, I mean, everything that people have told you, it happens. Like a saint. So it's amazing when you have something like this, how your spouse can really be there for you. I mean, it's amazing, because when I was first sick, he would go to work, and we had a wood stove. He would cut logs this long and like this so I could pick them up, because I was that weak to put it. I mean, just little things that I remember that he would always do. It's weird, because when I was a child, I can just about remember everything. But from this time on, I forget so much, and I'll start a sentence and he'll finish it, because a lot of times I'll just stop and I don't have any names to any face.
Sue got old. She got very old.
The bladder cancer that she presently has is in a way the price probably that we pay in terms of for transplant because of immunosuppression. These folks are at increased risk of malignancies. There's no question of that, and everybody knows that. She also has another interesting phenomenon, which is she has a very mild, low-grade oral graft versus host disease.
How can you have that many drugs and that much done to your body and another cancer can show up? So now you know it could be anywhere in my body, so it's just a matter of you just wait to see what comes up, you know. They say the cure is worse than the disease a lot. Every time you look at the little kids out there walking down the hallway with their thing with all the needles in them, it's like, oh, you want to do something, so that's what I do. It's my goal now in life. Because I make, this time of the year, Easter eggs, plus sand tarts, Easter sand tarts. And I take orders for them to make money for the night walks that we have at the Leukemia Society, which are 3 walks. There's one in Lancaster, York, and Harrisburg. An awful lot in donations. It's amazing what people do give for such a great cause. especially with this disease. It's not easy for them to cure. It's easy for them to work with, but they're doing their best, and God love them all. I'm very blessed to have this happen. It's like a whole insight on life.
Oh, she's here, you know. What more can I want?
You know best, 'cause after all you do know best. Try to slip past this